Hi there, I'm Josh. I like to build things, and today we'll be talking about building community through meetups and interest groups. But before we get too ahead of ourselves, what is a meetup? A meetup is a group of people that usually meet on a regular schedule organized through a particular website. Common websites to organize a meetup through could be meetup.com, Facebook groups, or Luma. These groups revolve around discussing a particular topic that is of personal interest or related to professional development. In this video, we'll go over the following sections you see here. Currently, we are in the introduction section of this video. We'll also go over why I like meetups, how you can get started running your own meetup, creating a schedule for your group, as well as finding a location to host your meetup, and then choosing appropriate dates based on the location you found. Then we'll move on to thinking about your audience, who is going to really attend, and the constraints that creates as well. And we'll go to overall guidance for running your first event, and then the type of events you should host, and promotion of your events, and then lastly, retention of your attendees. To make this video a little easier to follow, I've added a title card and sound effect that look like this. So that way you know when I'm transitioning to a new topic. I will also try to find out how I can add timestamps in the description. No promises because I'm still new to YouTube, but I'll try my best. So if there's something you particularly are interested in that I outlined in the earlier part of this video, go ahead and go down there and click to the clip that you want to see. We will also have interviews from Meetup attendees like...
Whoa, hey, I'm Everett, CTO of andproto.com, which is kind of a fake job.
In addition to interviews with well-established meetup organizers I have a personal connection to, such as...
So my name's Calvin Hendricks Parker, and in 2003, I moved back to Indiana. I kind of missed the tech scene from the Bay Area, and I wondered where all the Python people were hanging out. So I decided I would just make a place for Python people to hang out. So I just founded IndiePy, basically started as a little bit of a social club where a bunch of Pythonistas got together who enjoyed each other's company and really just wanted to like swap stories about technology and be around people who were, similarly minded.
And...
Yeah, Michael Welling. I've been in Indy now for over a decade, involved in the local tech scene. We just celebrated our 9-year anniversary in January. So we are coming up on a full decade, so very excited for that. And we actually picked up a co-organizer post-COVID, so it's been great.
Finally,
my name is Oleg Yasmin. I've been in product management for 10 years. And I'm the president of the Chicago Product Management Association, which is the oldest product management professional group in Chicago.
I have ran, count them, 3 meetups for the past year now with great success. I generally want to give out my secrets because I want more meetups to go to. After COVID, I feel like all the meetups died. I really see the value going to these groups as someone that is a bit neurodivergent and I guess a bit socially awkward. It gives me a place to meet regularly and gives me a way to open up as someone that is shy to connect with others over the niche interests I share. Furthermore, these groups are a place for me to find friends, find my next job, or learn about technologies that would keep me competitive in the market.
Yeah, I feel like I stay more up to date with technology trends by being, in real life with people. I mean, yeah, like being on Hacker News and reading comments all day, I get a certain perspective, but like actually seeing how people react to what I say in real life gives me a lot more data.
Giving away my secrets allows me not to be the person always driving the action forward. This is why I started running meetups. How do you get started running your own meetup? First thing to think about is starting small. I am personally really nervous and can get in my head about things I am trying. If I make something too big in my head, regardless if I've taken any action or not, I will not be able to make any progress on this new endeavor. The bigger the task inflates in my head, the harder it will be for me to get started. The lack of action eventually will lead to me feeling like I have failed and prevent me from trying something like this again for quite a while. And it's not just me.
I have seen others experience this too.
So I know it's a common thing. Let me give you an example. During the summer, there's this guy that moved to Chicago, the place I was living at the time. He was trying to get a Node meetup started and had previously ran meetups in other cities before. The mistake I think he made is he was very grand about this new thing he was starting by himself. He would make grand announcements at every meetup I would see him at, which basically boiled down to, this is why this meetup is going to be great. This is why you should get involved and take up quite a bit of time of this other meetup we're going to. They had one great meetup with great production value and everything. But it's been crickets since. No updates or posts. He says it's because of his job, but come on, man. You can spare a few minutes to make an update or a new event in the 6 to 8 months you've last posted. I think he's experiencing the same anxiety I feel when I make things too big. And the pressure he has to live up to on the next meetup because of the momentum he forced on himself before he even got started, which I've also experienced as well. My recommendation for you, if you want to start a meetup, is do not be like this guy.
Sometimes it just takes pulling the Band-Aid off. I'd been talking about starting a Code and Coffee for months, and it took one of my buddies to actually go on a Meetup and create it and say, hey, I created this. I added you as a co-host. You should do this. Like, you just sometimes need someone to give you a nudge in the right direction because you really are putting yourself out there. Right? Like when you're organizing these events and finding speakers and committing to being at this event, once a month, once a week, like definitely a little scary at times. And so sometimes you just need a little push.
For me, what worked is looking at a calendar over a given year and seeing what days work best for me to host a meetup. And then also checking what are the most common days that meetups are held in a given month or a given year, so I can avoid those days and also be able to go to meetups and support other people's meetups. People only have so much time and can't be in multiple places at once, so it's really important not to be in conflicting with meetups you want to go to.
For other meetups, I think it's been very important to try to find a shared calendar that people can check that out. And again, you'll never be able to avoid it completely. There's only so much time in a month. No one wants to have an event on a Friday night generally. And so you kind of are limited to 4 days a week to host a lot of these professional meetups. The easiest way I would say if you're doing a recurring meetup, like a monthly meetup, is to have a predictable date that people can count on. Saying like, we're always the second Tuesday of the month type thing gives people a way to, be ready and prepare mentally for that type thing. Right? And you don't have to think about it, right? You can put a calendar invite and say, hey, second Tuesday of the month, I know I have something.
Additionally, you want to make your meetup meet on a regular schedule so it becomes habitual for you and your attendees to show up. No one has to think about when the next meetup is going to be because you've set the clear expectation for the frequency of your meetup. The frequency of your meetup can be anything. You can have your meetup meet weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, quarterly, or yearly. Although the higher the frequency that your meetup is meeting, the more easy it is for people to form habits with their busy schedules, and the easier it is for your meetup to grow.
Be consistent. Own that date. I mean, obviously look at the calendar of other things that are going on in the community around you. We were early enough that we could pretty much own the second Tuesday of the month for well over 15 years. It was always the second Tuesday of the month, 7 p.m. People could count on it. You can set your watch by it. People love consistency.
However, with higher frequencies of your meetup meeting, like say a weekly meetup, it's going to be a lot of prep work for you and a lot of your time. So take the cost analysis benefit of how much effort you want to put into your group. For example, for my meetups, I run a React
Native meetup that meets the second Monday of every month.
I also run a 3D printing meetup that meets on the last Wednesday of every month. And on top of that, quarterly, I run an indie hackers meetup that meets in between the React Native meetup and the 3D printing meetup on a Wednesday. This is what works for me and may not work for you, but this is what allows me to stay consistent. Nowadays, if I cancel a meetup or forget to schedule one, people will in general check in with me to see if the meetup is going to meet on its regular day. So this is nice to see that people are finding value from these meetups I'm holding, as well as it's becoming part of their usual routine. I would say I wouldn't have done most of this work because I am an awful procrastinator. What really helped is committing to this over a year period and having these events coming up, and the fear of the event happening and I'm not prepared has allowed me to get most of this work done.
Create an expectation and then you don't meet it, people are going to get that need filled somewhere else. Like no matter what the situation is, and people need an outlet. Like they go to your meetup for a reason, and if they can't go to it, they still have that need. So they're going to find something else. And if a different meetup is more consistent, then they'll just attend that one.
Make sure you can set a schedule that you can commit to over a year when doing this with the frequency you've chose. Honestly, in the beginning, when I started hosting these meetups, I thought they were a lot of work and maybe I should quit, especially in the moments where it's just me at a meetup group all alone and no one show up for over an hour and maybe there's an hour left. But when that first person finally does show up and I get to have a conversation about this niche thing I really care about, or I get to learn new things from them, or like are just excited as me as this niche thing about 3D printing or mobile app development, bro, that sends me over the moon.
I mean, your meetups were really, I think, really niche focused. You end up learning a lot. The 3D printing meetup, I went to that once, and I was like, this is really cool just to hear people talk about something they're really dorky about that I don't know anything about.
So in all, the commitment of having a set schedule in turn keeps me committed to running these events regularly. With the addition of meeting such cool people from the events I run is the main motivation for me to keep hosting this. It might be similar for you when you start hosting your first events. I would say the difference between me and you together versus everyone else is taking this very big, intimidating task and making it into a first initial small step to get us to our first event. So now that you've likely chosen the dates to host your meetup, we should probably figure out where you're going to at least host the first meetup and maybe the sequential meetups afterwards. Again, back to starting small, I recommend finding a place that is very near you and would be really easy for you to show up and hold your events consistently. Okay, so this is Butch McGuire's. I started coming here for their singles night that they would hold on the second Thursday of every month to be able to talk to girls, but more importantly, work on my social skills of talking to strangers because, again, I am really anxious and shy. I really enjoyed the homie vibe of this place. Look at these homies here hanging out, and it was only a 10-minute walk from my apartment. So I was thinking maybe I could hold my meetups here because it is a very convenient place. Even if I forget or if I'm late, I can still run the duration from my house to this bar so I can make the meetup, which I have done several times in the past and I've got too invested in work. And generally, just like these homies, I try to hold my meetup in this booth so that way from the doorway you can see the event.
Yeah, I think you really thought out of the box in the space, like having it at like just that bar with a back room. Like they were like, oh, we have this back room that's available, so sometimes people think, oh, I have to have the meetup at a tech company or I have to have the meetup at a co-working space, but you don't necessarily need to.
In general, you want to start out by hosting your meetups in a bar, cafe, library, or a college classroom. If you're hosting in a place of business where people hang out, like a bar or a cafe, you most likely do not need to inform them beforehand because when you start out, your attendance is probably not going to be so significant in most cases. The people that you invite will most likely fit around one table, just like you are hanging out with your usual group of friends. In this stage, the only thing that is important is building the initial momentum of your mental capacity for hosting events.
Yeah, never really asked for permission for coffee shops. I think the biggest thing for Code and Coffee is always finding a place with a big enough table that can support your ideal size. For us, it was always they needed to have good coffee. They needed to have food options. We had a lot of people who wanted to have breakfast in the morning too. And they needed a big enough table for us to be able to sit around and have a good conversation. Wi-Fi is a bonus, obviously, in this day and age. I choose Einstein's because I could walk there in the morning. Same thing with Java House, and everywhere that we've been in the interim is always, it's in Broad Ripple. I want to be able to walk there.
At the time of your event, you wouldn't think about your attendees and the ebbs and flows of the venue you're hosting your meetup at. Most bars are pretty busy from Thursday to Sunday. So those days wouldn't be good to host a meetup because you would be competing for space in a very busy environment. And additionally, you wouldn't be able to hear each other because everyone is talking so loud. Why bars so loud? However, coming in from Monday to Wednesday, most bars are pretty empty. And the owners are more receptive to having you there because in a sense, you're providing a service of bringing people that won't usually show up on a day that they're dead.
Over time, this will lead to the bar being more receptive for letting their fees go to the side and hosting your event because you bring them consistent business.
It's no big deal for them for you to show up, or it's somehow beneficial that you do show up, or the part of their mission is that they serve the community to show up, or they're a company who does the thing that you're doing the meetup around. So it has to be somehow mutually beneficial, because otherwise, the costs for a space can be really, really expensive, especially with foods involved. And so when we moved to Speakeasy, we started bringing pizza every time. Like 6 Feet Up would sponsor the pizza, and Speakeasy never charged us for the space. I think they even gave us free beer for a while. At some point, we figured out how to unlock the kegerator and change the kegs ourselves too.
Moreover, thinking about the type of people that attend my events, they're mostly working professionals that work normal 9 to 5 jobs, most of which end around 5 p.m. Logically, then I should probably start my event around 6 to 6:30, so that gives them an hour time to get any additional work done, eat, and commute to the event. They could also additionally show up a little later if they have extra work and still not miss the whole meetup. Let's list down the constraints we've created so far. Location-wise, I think I will host at Butch McGuire's because it is the closest to me and the most familiar. Date-wise, I think I will host on the first Monday of every month because that is what works best for my schedule, and Butch McGuire's is most likely going to be empty. Time-wise, I see that Butch McGuire's hosts a comedy show every Monday at 8 p.m., so we'll have to finish by then. And reiterating that most of my guests are working professionals, it would be best to start around 6 p.m. to give them time to show up. After gathering these constraints, I will create a meetup series that meets the first Monday of every month at Butch McGuire's from 6 to 8 p.m. on a given topic X. For me, it will most likely be on React Native because that's what I'm interested in. Moving on, since we now have a time, frequency, and location to our meetup, we should probably find out what type of meetups we want to hold. From my observation, the more guidance provided, the more people will actually show up to your meetup. For example, having a speaker talk about a clearly communicated topic that is listed on your meetup page in the past has turned to greater attendance overall than the other meetups I've tried to hold. But in this stage, I wouldn't be too worried about topic selection. I would just hold happy hours. That way you can easily gauge the interest of the community and the topic you want to hold your meetups on and start to get regular people that show up. These people could possibly be the speakers that lead to your bigger events later on.
And happy hours are a great gateway to it because you can kind of gauge interest in things with no pressure. So I've heard of a couple people who are like, hey, we used to just get people together for drinks or coffees to talk about AI, to talk about 3D printing, something. Yeah. And then people were like, wow, yeah, that's a great idea. Oh, we should do a talk on that. Let's get people together. Boom, meetup. So it just takes sometimes it's nice to have that foundation come into play.
Now that we have chosen our topic selection for our meetup, we need to talk about actively promoting our events. Sometimes if you do build it, they actually do come, especially if you have good SEO or anything related to AI at the moment. But in most cases, this will not be the case, and you have to actively promote your events to get attendees. For me, what worked the best is posting on city-specific Slack groups related to technology and posting on LinkedIn. Both these platforms allow me to set up automated messages that go out 2 weeks before, a week before, a day before, and a day of.
So because our meetup is professionally oriented, we have a big membership list on Meetup. So sending a blast there is helpful. LinkedIn is fantastic. Any Slack groups that are relevant is great. Word of mouth is good. For me, because I'm so active on LinkedIn, because I have high visibility and high engagement on my profile, LinkedIn is my number one promotion channel. And I encourage everyone to do the same if your meetup is professional oriented. And the other alternatives is just meet people where they are. Depending on who your event is catered to, honestly, just like with any other kind of marketing, figure out where your ideal people are and promote on there.
It takes someone 6 times before they can remember something, and that's what we're trying to do with our events here with our potential attendees, to lock these events into their busy minds so that they don't have to think about, oh, is there an event this month for this new meetup I want to try? They know in the back of the head that it is going to happen and they should break out their normal routine to attend. Over time, you may not need to promote your events as much, because if your events are good, your members will keep showing up. And if your consistent enough, your events will be picked up by newsletters and event aggregators to show to the local community of the events available to go to.
I think part of why people kept showing up was because it was very welcoming to be there. Try to make an extra effort to welcome everybody who's coming in the door, to ask everybody questions, at least ask them what their name was, and try and get to know people who were coming into the meetups and actually introduce people. Like when someone had a similar interest to someone else who I knew who walked in the door, I'd want to go try and introduce them to that person. So they had new friends immediately while walking in the door to a foreign place. And while we were still small, say like 20, 30 people, we would go around the room and do quick introductions. And I'd always ask some kind of an icebreaker question, like what was your first computer, or what language did you learn first, or some kind of 1 or 2 word answer thing. I think people really, really like that. And then I'd go back around the room again too and ask for who's hiring, who's looking for a job, because I wanted to make sure that our community connected with their people first. So I think just that level of care alone brings people back. Like you can't fake caring and giving a shit about the community. It becomes really obvious if it's like recruiters running the meetup because they're trying to recruit people, or those kinds of things.
I think also like there's some people who are like really good at hosting meetups and other people who are really good at talking about which meetups they're going to, and those might not necessarily be the same people. Like I've never hosted a meetup, but I generally am kind of known as being like, oh, what should I, like people ask me, what are you going to this week? And I'll be like, oh, I'm going to this, and this, and this. And then they end up showing up to that.
Now, okay, we've done everything. We have everything unlocked. We got the promotion, we have the event, we have the frequency, we have everything, right? So the easiest part now is just to show up to the event and host it. All the hard work is done, and just to enjoy yourself. The only important thing is you're the leader, and you just have to focus on making the event very friendly and keeping everyone feeling included and engaged. So after your event, you want to keep people coming back and remembering that you'll have a next event and you don't want to lose people. I experienced commonly that I would meet such cool people but then never see them again. So what worked for me is creating a Discord that is a community Discord to keep people connecting with each other, as well as to promote the events inside my own platform. This really boosted the overall attendance and kept people coming back that maybe would have fell off otherwise.
If your goal is to build a community, it isn't only done through in-person events in an online world. The Chicago Tech Slack is very good at making people feel like there's a cohesive sense of tech community. Even if there isn't a ton of active people always on there, there's enough that you feel like this is a place I can go to interact with other people with an interest within the Chicago tech community.
Okay, I think I could talk about meetups and all this stuff forever, but I think we're at a good stopping place here. I appreciate you watching. Please like and subscribe. I'm trying to make more videos about the things I make, including meetups and entrepreneurship. If you would like to learn about sponsorships, how to get sponsorships and how to make money from meetups, comment below. I can make that in the next video. Just please like and subscribe, and I really appreciate you watching this whole thing. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. So yeah, thank you so much.